Welcome back to the final episode in our three-part series all about diagnosing problems in your UX job search. Now, if you have not listened to the other two episodes in this series, I encourage you to save this one and check the show notes and go listen to the other two first. There's a lot of value in listening to these in the right order because they all build upon each other. So make sure you do that. Otherwise, we're going to dive into the third common problem I see people encounter in their UX job search. How do I know this? Because I have been laser focused on UX careers, career advancement, the job search since 2017. I also have 22 years of experience in the field of user experience. So I have now worked with thousands of people at various points in their career, helping them navigate a job search, navigate promotions, layoffs, etc. And if you have not listened to the other two episodes, I have this philosophy that the greatest product you will ever work on is you, also known as the product of you. So, in case you don't go back and listen to the other two episodes, I'm going to drop my summary of my product of you philosophy into this episode. And honestly, it is an important refresher for those of you that maybe have heard me talk about this a few weeks or months or years ago. So I'm going to run my product of you philosophy. It's just a few minutes. And then we're going to get into the 4 symptoms related to the problem of stranger syndrome in your job search. So let's dive into the product of you strategy, and then we will come out on the other side with our stranger syndrome checklist for you to go through. I want to share a little bit more about my philosophy as to how I think candidates in any industry, but especially the industry of user experience, should think about themselves in their job search and their career. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while or following me for years, you know that I have this philosophy called the product of you. Now, the product of you, which is also the name of my book, which is not out yet, but stay tuned for that. And the product of you is this philosophy all about the idea that we should treat our careers as a product. Because if you work in the field of user experience or product development, you've heard of the jobs to be done framework, probably. If not, we'll link it in the show notes. But essentially, it's the idea that people who are looking for and buying products need it to do a job for them in their life, in their job, in their house, whatever, right? And in the same way, companies are hiring you to do a job for them. And that is why I think there is such beautiful overlap between looking at how we create and design and sell products and how we can design ourselves and our careers and market and sell ourselves. So we get promoted, so we get job offers, so we get consulting clients, etc. So my product of you philosophy is really simple, and it can easily be visualized in a little Venn diagram. I don't have slides for this, so just imagine a Venn diagram. And Venn diagram, 3 circles. One of the circles is design. One of the circles is market. And one of the circles is sell. And if you think of a product, products need strong design, right? By design, I mean the product's literal design, the features, how it works, how it functions, what it looks like, what it does, etc., right? That's what I mean by the design of a product. Then it's not just enough to have a well-designed product. A product needs to be marketed, right? Marketing is really about visibility. And so you can think of marketing activities as Super Bowl ads or social media ads, sponsored posts, TV ads, podcast ads, etc., right? In person, like pop-up events. All of these marketing activities are designed to create visibility, as well as other things like trust, etc. And then the third part of our Venn diagram is the element of sales, meaning not kind of transactional interactions. Because I think when I say sales, a lot of times people think of kind of like just gross feeling, honestly, right? It's transactional, it's inauthentic, etc. That's not what I mean. I mean relationships. Sales is all about relationships. So, in order for successful products to exist and not go out of business, they need solid design, they need solid marketing, and they need solid sales. And the same applies to you, the product of you, right? You need solid design, meaning you need to know your features, your benefits, your skills, etc., and how to communicate those. Then you need to market yourself. That's reality. Marketing, in the case of your career, there's three primary things, and then there's some other marketing activities you could do. Obviously, your resume, your portfolio, your LinkedIn. Those are the three main ones. Other marketing activities you might do could be speaking at conferences, writing articles, teaching, who knows. Then sales, if you don't like the word sales, replace it with relationships, because that is really what sales is all about. It's about connecting, because people buy from people who they think know them and who understand their problems and that they feel like they have a connection with. And that is relationships. So that is my philosophy, the product of you philosophy. But I wanted to share that because it kind of frames up the three main symptoms that I see people experiencing in their job search. All right, so remember our Venn diagram: design, market, sell. Today we are focused in on that sell part of the Venn diagram. And of course, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you don't like the word sell or sales, just replace it with relationships, because relationships and sales are all about connection. People buy from people they trust and connect with, and that especially applies to your career. So, what is stranger syndrome? I want to give a brief summary of it, and then I want to give you the 5 symptoms that may be clues that you are suffering from stranger syndrome right now. So, stranger syndrome is really this idea that when you try and build or nurture relationships with people, they don't reply, or you feel like it was more of a transaction than a connection. Maybe even you are avoiding this idea of connecting in relationships altogether, or maybe you just do it at the last minute, which is not a good idea. So, stranger syndrome is when you feel like you are just getting ghosted, up against a wall, when it comes to trying to build and nurture relationships in your career and your job search. With that said, let's dive into the 5 symptoms that I see as pretty major indicators that you are experiencing the problems associated with stranger syndrome. So, symptom number 1 is if you are messaging people on LinkedIn, emailing people because you applied for a job and they're the hiring manager, or maybe they work at that company, or you're sending people cold emails related to your job search or your career, and you're not getting replies, that is a sign of stranger syndrome. And why is this a sign? Well, when you think about it, if people are not replying to you, there's a couple of reasons why they may not be replying. One of them could be they are busy. We are all busy. My inbox has stuff slip all the time. So that is one of the reasons. But another larger reason that I see people get ghosted and feel like a stranger when it comes to relationships is because the message you sent sounded transactional, wasn't focused on connecting first before you go in with an ask or a favor. And as a result, people are less inclined to reply to people that they have no clue who they are, or who are asking a very big or heavy lift of that person. So that is symptom number 1. If you're sending emails, LinkedIn messages, etc., and you're not getting a reply, that's a sign of stranger syndrome, because guess who is more likely to reply to your message? Someone that knows you, someone that has an existing relationship with you, or someone that at least feels like they know who you are. And by that, It could mean you are a familiar face or name because you're in similar communities, because you have been commenting on their LinkedIn posts or other activities. So, symptom number 2 is that you are asking people for referrals or referral links for jobs you want to apply to, and they are not replying to you. Now, I myself get these requests all of the time. People ask me if I can get them a referral link for a job at whatever company because they see I'm connected to someone at that company. The problem is, when you ask me for a referral, my reputation is on the line. And this is true of anyone. This is not just me, Sarah. When you ask anyone for a referral, their reputation is on the line. So that is why a lot of times people that do not know you don't reply or will not give you a referral link because they know nothing about you. And reputation is so hard to build and so easy to break that is why people may be not replying to your requests to give them a referral. So, what would a proactive candidate do? If you know you want to apply for a job at Delta Airlines or Nextdoor or Fidelity in the next 6 months or a year or something, you should start now building and nurturing relationships with people who work at those companies. That way, when you really do need the referral link, you are not a stranger and you won't experience stranger syndrome. Symptom number 3 is that you feel like, when you go to interviews or you're having screener calls, you're not connecting. Like, you get off the call and there is kind of like a pit in your stomach and you think, oh, that did not go well. Just felt like I was going through the motions. The other person just kind of like was giving me kind of like dead eyes the whole time. And I just feel like I didn't do well. That could be a sign that you're suffering from stranger syndrome, in that you're not connecting in interviews. And one of the reasons that I think a lot of candidates do not connect in interviews is because they don't take time to listen. They don't take time to ask questions of the person in the interview. And connection happens through conversation, and conversation happens through listening and follow-up questions. So, if you want to connect with people in interviews and not leave the interview feeling like you're still a stranger, you have to connect, you have to listen, you have to ask follow-up questions. All right, symptom number 4 when it comes to this stranger syndrome is your LinkedIn posts barely get any comments, likes, etc. Now, as someone with 84,000 followers on LinkedIn, I will say sometimes I post on LinkedIn and I see no comments, no reactions. So it's partially a potential challenge with getting through the algorithm, right? However, if you're noticing that there is an ongoing pattern of you posting on LinkedIn and not getting any comments, likes, etc., that could be a sign that, number 1, maybe you are connected to a bunch of people that you don't actually know. You just went and like hit connect for a ton of people just to amass this connection number. And or maybe it's been so long that you actually checked in, emailed, had a little phone call with these people that they're just not interested, right? They don't kind of pay attention because they know you, but your relationship or the past time you interacted was so long ago, you're kind of not at the top of their priority list of people that they are going to give their precious attention to. So I would say, if you want people to start noticing, commenting, liking, reacting, etc., on your LinkedIn posts, number 1, reciprocate. Go do it on theirs. And number 2, I have this philosophy that sometimes you need to microwave relationships, meaning like if you haven't talked to someone in a while, you need to put that relationship in the microwave. And how could you do that? Send a little email, giving a quick update about yourself and asking them what's new. That is simple. You could go, like I said, comment on their LinkedIn posts, etc. But that is a sign that you might be suffering from stranger syndrome, and maybe you need to go microwave some relationships to get them actually noticing and caring about you again. The final symptom of stranger syndrome is the idea that you feel like a stranger to people that you thought knew you. And this is probably better as an example of former colleagues, former bosses, maybe even former classmates, etc. And maybe you're messaging them or emailing them, asking them to get on a call, and even they are ghosting you, right? People that you thought knew you and thus would actually reply, and they're not replying. That's a sign of stranger syndrome. And we can apply that same microwave strategy to those people as well. So, those are the 5 symptoms of stranger syndrome. And when you are able to nurture those relationships, create new relationships, maybe microwave old relationships, you are going to be able to get out of this feeling of being a stranger. And instead, you are going to feel like that you are confident in your relationships and thus confident in also leveraging those relationships in your job search. So that is stranger syndrome. I'm very curious how you scored on stranger syndrome. And again, feel free, send me a message on LinkedIn. Tell me, out of 0 to 5, how many of the 5 symptoms did you note in your current situation? And what are you going to do to hopefully get yourself out of stranger syndrome with some of those strategies I gave you, whether it's to go microwave old relationships, start commenting and reacting to people's LinkedIn posts, etc. But I promise you that this stranger syndrome is not impossible to solve. It takes a little bit of intention and time, but when you do it, the payoff is very, very valuable, because today's job market especially, but in the job market in general, relationships are so key, not only to finding out about open opportunities and jobs, but also getting those referral links. Also, if you have a relationship with someone at a company where you want to work, you now have someone on the inside, and you can learn a lot about that company's culture. You might be able to get connected to the hiring manager. Who knows? But those relationships can help you stand out from other candidates who do not have those relationships. So if you're struggling in your job search, it may be because of this stranger syndrome, but it is possible to fix it and become more confident in your relationships and connecting and leveraging connection and relationships in your job search. So that is our 3-part series all about how to diagnose your UX job search. I want to finish this whole series as I started it, because I know the job search isn't easy. I'm not going to pretend like it is. However, you are likely stuck in your job search because there are so many tips, tricks, strategies. You feel like a chicken with its head cut off. You don't know what to do first. You have a giant to-do list and saved links from all over the internet, and you're overwhelmed with information, and that is preventing you from taking action. And my goal with this Diagnose Your Job Search series is to help ground you, help bring you back to some clarity around which 3 areas of the product of you maybe need a little bit more attention. Is it the design of you because you are stuck in identity fog? Is it the marketing of you because you feel like an invisible genius? Or is it the sales or relationships for the product of you because you feel like a stranger? And I promise you, this is going to help lift some of the overwhelm, because it starts to narrow down your focus and not have you feel like you need to do everything. Now, the one other tip I will give you is that it is very valuable to focus on these things in the order that we just went through. I don't want you to start messing with your resume, LinkedIn, etc., until you're clear on the design of you. I don't want you to start trying to nurture and build relationships with people until you're clear on the design of you. Because then when you go answer the question of tell me about yourself, you're not going to have clarity on what your elevator pitch is to those people, right? So start with the design of you, lift that identity fog, then you'll be able to adjust your resume, portfolio, LinkedIn, so you're no longer an invisible genius. Instead, you have magnetic marketing materials. And by that, I mean your LinkedIn, your resume, your portfolio will stand out. And in some cases, especially your LinkedIn profile, it can become a magnet for opportunities. Example, in August of 2025, Laura got hired as a principal product designer in 47 days because she optimized. Well, first, she lifted the identity fog and got clear on who she is and what she does. Then she made sure her LinkedIn and resume and portfolio communicated that clearly. Specifically, her LinkedIn became a magnet because when the CEO was searching for someone with her qualifications, she came up. The CEO literally sent Laura a message. Laura replied, did an interview, a couple of interviews, and got the job. That is what I mean by going from an invisible genius to having magnetic career marketing materials. And I actually interviewed Laura for this podcast, and I'll link to it in the show notes after. And if you have questions about your job search, if you want to hear how you too could leverage the strategies that I teach inside my job search and UX career coaching program, just like Laura did, who ended up being found on LinkedIn and got hired, then I invite you. There will be a link below. You can click that to learn more or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am extremely easy to find. And just let me know what stage you're at in your career, how many years of experience you have, and I will send you a specific page on my website, which will address how career coaching can help you, whether you are at a senior level, a mid-level, you're switching careers, or you are just starting out. All right, so I hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. And while I have you, do me a favor. Go to the rate button to rate this podcast. Ratings are really important to podcasts because it signals to the podcast algorithms that you found this helpful. So hit pause, go do that. And I'll thank you in advance because ratings do help this podcast become more visible to other people who may find it valuable in their UX career also. All right, that's all, and I will see you in another episode.